Hi Chris, how are you?
I'm absolutely fine. Can we start this off, Chris, by just finding out a little bit about your background as to what you were doing before you joined the GGF and how you then got involved with it?
Sure, absolutely. Well, my background is that I've been actually with Fensa now for 3 years. Yeah, it's just about 3 years this month, actually, Chris. But prior to joining Fensa, I was working as the External Affairs Director for a company called Searchall. And they're another competent person scheme, but in the electrical industry. And they operate some well-known brands, such as the NIC, IC, and Alexa. But I spent most of my working life in quality assurance and latterly in third-party certification schemes. It served me very well. I've been very fortunate to work in America, Japan, and many other exciting places around the world, auditing systems and companies and products. So that's really how I got into this business. In terms of Fensa, I've been aware of Fensa for many, many years. And in sort of correspondence and various meetings, I realized there was an opening in Fensa some 3 years ago and made my application, and here I am now.
And you're now actually acting head of Fensa. So not probably the best time to be taking it over, really. You've had a couple of traumatic years, I would say.
We've enjoyed the changes that we've made over the last couple of years. You know, it's a changing environment. I can't lie, it's a very, very challenging time right now, not just because of COVID, but the Green Homes Grant Scheme and various other initiatives that are happening. But it's, you know, our intention was always to move Fensa from the place where it was, which was a good place, to being, you know, a business which excelled in customer services and customer service excellence. And that's what we've been really doing over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's become far more of a membership organization, hasn't it, really? I mean, from, if you like, issuing certificates as Fensa, it's moved a long way in the last couple of years. I mean, what actually drove that review?
Well, I think there was a perception in the industry that Fensa was somewhat aloof, had rested on its laurels for quite some time as the market leader. And to some extent, that was fair. And in the last 2 years, we were a new management team and we came with new ideas, new thoughts. We knew that we wanted to change things around, and it's not something you can do overnight. So it's something we've had to work incredibly hard at whilst maintaining the business as usual. But we've got an incredibly passionate and knowledgeable team within Fensa, many of whom have been with the business for quite some time. And they go out of their way to help our installers. So our driver hasn't simply been that we're going to carry on as usual, like you say, issuing certificates, doing assessments, but to really engage with our Fensa installers and many of the stakeholders as well. We're the leading scheme in this industry sector, and we need to live up to that, and we need to, you know, keep making sure that we have new offerings, new services, and consult with our members as well to make sure we're providing exactly what they want.
I mean, you have come in for a bit of criticism. You know, you're obviously a membership organization, but been relatively quiet. Some people have said not active enough during this COVID crisis. I mean, can you respond to that?
Oh, absolutely. And I absolutely disagree with that, Chris. We were as busy as we've ever been, working hard behind the scenes in what's been a very difficult time for all industry. We and our installers could only abide by the conditions set by governments during the lockdown period, and that was our messaging all along. And as you'll be aware, some of the guidance that was produced by government needed further discussion. It needed some review to make sure that the information that we gave to our Fensa registered installers was correct. So it was important really to engage with government, which we did through the Glass and Glazing Federation, our parent, to establish what the actual facts were before we started to disseminate even the correct information to the Fensa approved installers. And on the back of that, we produced a series of guides for our installers to use as and when they saw fit. And these included guidelines for homeowners and installers, plus risk assessments and templates for risk assessments. And these sort of showed the practical safety precautions that need to be taken, you know, when surveying and installing work. And they've been very well received and used by a huge number of our community and provided reassurance to the trade and homeowners alike.
So has there been a lot of sort of take up of attention, if you like, to what you've been saying from the members and from homeowners as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We hear directly from our members, our approved installers, that say the guidance that we've put out has been very well received. To give you a flavour, you know, we received 5,000 phone calls in June alone. So we have a high level of engagement through our teams, through telephones and through emails with both homeowners and installers. And we listen very carefully to their views.
So how were Fensa members really affected during lockdown? I mean, was there any evidence of installation activity at that time?
It's been a very difficult time, as I mentioned earlier, but the members that we spoke to were following the government advice, which was to stay at home. And many of them were taking the time to get up to speed with their administration activities, really. So we had a lot of calls about new services like our installer portal and some of our affiliate schemes that we have. But many companies were providing quotes virtually using video conferencing so that homeowners could show them the work that they wanted to get completed, maybe using FaceTime or Zoom, so that they could start to look at, you know, putting some quotations together once the lockdown had eased. And that way the order book could still be built up for when normality, or what we perceive normality, is resumed.
I mean, was it encouraging, the amount of installations that have suddenly come in, if you like, over the past month? Because we hear that the trade is very busy out there. Is that your experience as well?
Yes, to some extent. There was a lot of legacy work that needed to be notified as well, but there was a lot of new work that came through. So April and May were quiet months because there wasn't any work activity taking place. But when the lockdown started to lift and government said that the industry could get back to work, yes, we did see a big step up in June, which was very encouraging. It certainly feels like the industry has hit the ground running again since the restrictions have been eased. We have seen increases in the number of installers registering work with us over the past month. The challenge, of course, is to sustain that level of work over the next few months and beyond. And the conversations we've been having with the Fensa community so far have been very positive, with a larger number of companies saying they're very busy and that consumer demand is very high. So at this stage, we're cautiously optimistic that we'll see a good, solid performance. But as I mentioned earlier, some of the challenges, especially around things like the Green Homes grant, you know, have really caused a lot of damage to our industry. We're very keen to see those resolved as soon as possible so that the industry can resume, get back to work, and to deliver the work that they set out to achieve.
I mean, can we talk a bit more about the Green Homes grant? Because that is really a lot of confusion out there, isn't there? I mean, certainly as a homeowner sitting here, I'm not sure whether I could get a grant or not. I'm not sure anybody knows exactly what's going on. Can you help us or enlighten us a bit on that?
Like yourself, really, one of the things that we're disappointed in is that we weren't consulted as an industry, which you know, we have a lot of information to give and impart, which we think we really would have helped government with this initiative. As with most things, it's very well intentioned, and any scheme that helps to improve the energy efficiency of homes in the UK, you know, has to be applauded. But unfortunately, in the government's eagerness to announce the scheme and provide the press with the headline, it's actually created a short-term negative effect for the industry to have to deal with. And in the absence of any real facts around this, obviously there are homeowners who are waiting to see, you know, what will happen with the scheme when it's launched in September and what the announcements will actually be. And it has led to, you know, homeowners cancelling or delaying jobs until such time as they see whether they will qualify for the grant scheme. And that's understandable to a certain degree, but the longer this goes on and the lack of information, then yes, it is hitting our industry hard, and we need answers, and we demand answers to lots of questions that we have. The Glass and Glazing Federation has been in regular contact and correspondence with government and other stakeholders about this, and hopefully more details will be announced this week, or certainly the early part of next week. And wherever we can, we'll be disseminating this straight out to our installers as well, so that they can pass this on to their customers. But as we sit here today, we have unfortunately no further information which we can rely upon to actually say what the shape of the scheme will ultimately be and what level glass and glazing will actually play in the scheme too.
I mean, it would be helpful, wouldn't it, if they were to actually announce that they would, if you like, backdate the grant scheme, and that would get things moving again for the installers, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. I think, you know, one of the things we need to understand is the contribution that glass and glazing will make in terms of the energy efficiency that the government requires from this scheme. If the scheme is developed such that Fensa installers who've completed work their clients can apply for vouchers, then that's a very straightforward message and an easy way forward. Government may wish to look at energy ratings such as the BFRC rainbow labels and use those to show a positive contribution from windows and doors. But the scheme could be that much more complicated, and that's what we don't know. And if it is much more complicated, if installers are required to seek additional certification to different standards, then obviously it's going to be very difficult for the government to actually get that grant money to the homeowners in this financial year, which is their objective. So we do wait, we have a number of questions in with government as we speak, and we hope that they will be able to provide some really firm guidance and answers to those so that we can work with our members and the Fensa registered installers to actually move this agenda forward. Because in fairness, you know, what it has done is it's put some of the industry in a bit of limbo, and coming out of the COVID period and into the recovery, we need certainty.
I mean, has the crisis actually affected your plans for next year and for the foreseeable future?
Our plans for the coming year haven't been hugely affected. We've done a huge amount of work over the past 2 years to get to the point we're at, and we'll keep pushing the Fensa brand for our installers. We've got plans in place. Obviously, we're introducing new sort of affiliate information and schemes. We've got a lead generation scheme which will be going live in a matter of a few weeks, which is, you know, the first of its kind in this industry, where homeowners can directly contact installers to get quotations through the Fensa system. We've launched a workwear affiliate so that companies can have their Fensa logoed and their own logoed sort of sweatshirts and t-shirts as well. So we've spent a lot of time, and we will continue to do this really, Chris, is talking to and listening to our members to find out their wants and needs so that we can shape the value proposition that we have with them to make sure that what we're delivering, not just now, but in the future, you know, are true benefits to them, which they will enjoy.
Chris Beedel, Acting Head of Fensa, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.